Woo, what's going on, everyone? Just got done cleaning the boat, and essentially what today I'm going to do is just kind of show you the gear and techniques we use for that late winter, early pre-spawn bite that happens out at Pyramid. And essentially the biggest thing in the springtime is you always have to worry about the wind. It was blowing about 5 to 10 miles an hour yesterday, but as you can see with a southeast wind like that, those waves just build and build and build because of how big that lake is. And we were dealing with about 3.5 foot waves all day, and it just makes a horrendous time getting the boat out at the dock because the dock is located on the west side of the lake and just doesn't make for favorable conditions. So I'm just going to break it down to you exactly what we were using, kind of show you the different spoons and flatfish that I typically like to run, different color patterns, stuff like that, as well as I'll go over the rods that I typically use on the downriggers, as well as when I'm using those trolling without downrigger techniques, which if you haven't seen that video, check it out. I'll put a link in the description, but it's a very useful tool in any type of trout fishery you're going to be doing if you don't have downriggers, so check it out. Now, just to let you know about the water conditions yesterday, it was 44 degrees at the surface, and that's pretty cold water. We haven't had too bad of a winter this year. However, once that water gets around 44 to 48 degrees, those trout definitely get in that spawning mode because that's what typically they look for is water temperature when they start to change their anatomy to be able to spawn. Cutthroat trout are a springtime spawner, so essentially if you do want to get out there and fish during the spring, your best bet's probably going to be fishing from shore on a ladder, stripping woolly boogers, or even indicator fishing. That's a really good bite right now. So I also did put a video out that kind of describes the different flies that you can use, so check that one out. They cruise those littoral zones looking for where they typically spawn is the south nets. They have an artificial channel over there that they'll actually catch the fish and harvest all the eggs as well as the milk from the male cutthroat, and they'll put those eggs into a hatchery and then restock the lake. Or those fish will try to get up the Truckee River where they historically spawned back hundreds and hundreds of years ago, but due to dams and reduced water flow and all that, they just don't have a viable spawn over there. So they artificially collect those eggs and they rear those fish in a hatchery and then restock the lake. So just look for those cruising pods of fish. Typically they'll bite on indicator stuff like midges or balanced leeches or anything like that that you are relatively close to shore. So give it a shot. Pelican Point, south nets, like I said, or even down by Popcorn, Cattle Guard, Sand Hole, all those beaches where it's really sandy and kind of flat littoral zone, definitely check those out. So after that, we'll just kind of get into the gear that I typically used. Yesterday we were fishing 4 guys. We used both downriggers as well as 2 top lines, or essentially trolling without downriggers. And what kind of rod I like to use, we'll just start with the trolling without downriggers. Is I typically like a longer rod. This one is an Okuma Celio. It's an 8 to 20 pound rod, and I typically run about 12-pound test because if you set your drag correctly, 12-pound test is perfect. And I just use standard mono. I don't go with braid or anything like that gear. So this Okuma rod is a very affordable, nice rod, as well as the depth counter reels. That's super crucial, so you can have your setback set at a certain distance. But this is an 8'6" rod. It's relatively stiff. It does have quite a bit of bend at the tip, but you just want that stiffer rod when you are using those top line setups. I just go straight to a snap swivel so I can interchange my lures out relatively quickly, so I'm not sitting there tying up different stuff. I could just change it out and set it back. Now with these rods that we sent out the top line, we're running them around 200 to 250 feet behind the boat, because the rods on the downriggers, we were running about 100 feet back, and then about 20 to 25 feet down is where we were typically getting the fish. And with those downrigger rods, this is just a Cabela's Depth Master. I believe this one is 8'6" as well, 8 to 20. But with these ones, they do have a little bit softer tip. So when you do set it in the downrigger, you're able to crank down and get that nice tension on the rod. So then when that fish hits and it pops off the downrigger, it has enough action in the rod to set that hook for you, and you'll be fighting the fish once that happens. I just typically run like a 5-pound weight on my downriggers, nothing too crazy because we're not dealing with current or anything really deep. So a 5-pound weight definitely works out. To kind of give you an idea of what gear we were using. So all these different lures right here. We have our U20 flatfishes back here. And as you can see, they're just all different color patterns. I typically always do well on this one right here. That's what we call the Old Faithful. Has a white body with a red stripe down the back of it with yellow and red dots on the side. That black and with glitter works well. The watermelon color, the pink and the purples, and that bright orange works really well as too. And then all the different spoons that you can use as well. You can see all of these spoons are relatively larger, about 1/4 ounce or so. We do have some different smaller ones from RHA Tackle that work very well. If you haven't looked at his lures, they're typically well designed, well made, and you can get on some fish out at Pyramid. We'll cut to the footage from yesterday, let you see the lake conditions as well as the 2 fish that we did end up catching. We caught it on that U20 flatfish Old Faithful. And then yesterday we also caught one top lining on this highlighter yellow spoon. They weren't really keying in on anything. Those were the only 2 bites we got all day with about 7 hours of trolling, and that was pretty slow. So I think those fish are really starting to get into the pre-spawn right now, getting really close to shore and just cruising that shoreline. So get out there, let me know what you think, put a comment down there, and I'd love to hear everyone's feedback. So check out the lake conditions right now, and we'll come back and tell you a little bit more.
What's going on, everyone? Long time no see. Man, it's absolutely miserable out here, but we just got one fish to the boat, doing an exact same setup that we normally do, just trolling flatfish. We got that one on the Old Faithful color, white with glitter. It's white with yellow stripes and red, and it seems to be my go-to lure when I want to get the skunk off, so hopefully we can get some more. But I think today is going to be dictated by what Pyramid wants to give us.
he a keeper? You want to keep him? You can't pen him.
Oh, he gets away. He fought hard enough. It's cold.
Fish number 2. Woo. That one was on the top line, surprisingly. So, but you can tell. We're dealing with about, I don't know, 3.5 foot waves, and it's just absolutely miserable out here, but it beats sitting at home. However, you always just got to be paying attention to where the wind's coming from. Right now it's blowing southeast, so that doesn't really make it ideal to be out here. If you are coming from out of town, you definitely want to be having a wind from the southwest, because if you are fishing on this west side of the shore, you're protected. But right now the waves just keep building across the lake, and it just makes for a treacherous day on the water. So just be careful, know your boat, and if it's too rough, just get off the water, because your life's not worth it to be out here in rough conditions if your boat's not going to handle it. So hopefully we can get some more fish on.
It's pretty rough out there, right? Just not ideal conditions, but you just got to go check it out. Now, one thing that you do want to be mindful of when you take your boat out of Pyramid is all the alkaline buildup on all your gear, whether it be a float tube, kayak, your boat, your waders, whatever the case may be. Do yourself a favor and rinse that off when you get home or at the boat dock. I typically use white cleaning vinegar, spray it down with with a spray bottle, and then just towel dry it off, and it takes all that alkaline off of all the key components on your boat, so you don't have to deal with all that spotting. Because once it does spot and you let it dry and get caked on there, it's really, really tough to get off. So just do your best to rinse down your boat with either at a pressure wash bay or like I do with the spray bottle and vinegar, especially when it's wintertime. You don't want to be all drenched in water, so it's just easier to spray your boat down like that and wipe it off. I did put a video about that, so I'll put that in the link as well so you can check it out. But just keep all your gear well maintained when you do come out of Pyramid, and just get it all rinsed very thoroughly. Well, I do have some other updates for you. I know this video is one that I haven't really done too often this year because I usually hit Pyramid quite a bit, but I've just been busy this fall time because I did have a bull elk tag that I drew, and I was, putting a lot of time and focus into that. I didn't film anything just because I really was wanting to get that bull done. I helped out on an antelope hunt. I did a lot of chucker hunting, a lot of duck hunting, and I just took the time to reevaluate everything that I wanted to do, as well as just enjoy the hunting season. With that being said, I also am not guiding at all anymore. I'm just going to stick to the YouTube thing. I did guiding for 3 years, and it's just a lot of time and energy, and it didn't really pan out the way I expected it. But I took those wins and losses into consideration. I learned a lot about just that whole aspect. If you want me to produce a video about that, I'm gladly to put my 2 cents in and all the hoops that I had to jump through to get through it. But it just wasn't well worth it, in my opinion. There's just a lot of legality that you have to get behind, a lot of permits, a lot of guide licenses, a lot of liability insurance, and it's just funner to produce these videos for you so everyone can just watch them and do it for yourself and not have to pay someone like a guide to go out and take you. I much rather just do it virtually like this, show you everything that you need to do. You can use these techniques on any type of own personal gear that you have. It doesn't need to be this big old North River. It can be a kayak or a small boat. Just do whatever you think best fits your lifestyle, and you can get the job done. So I'm just going to be doing a lot of weekly updates for you in regards to water around the Reno Tahoe area, in regards to the river, other lakes. Try to put out a weekly fishing report for you, as well as take you along for the ride. We'll go kokanee fishing up in Tahoe a lot, lake trout, a lot of stampede trips, and just do a lot more camping videos and catch and cook, stuff like that. And just produce that knowledge for you so you can understand how to do it for yourself. If you like this video, just give it a thumbs up, subscribe. I appreciate everyone that's shown me support. We're almost there to 1,000 subscribers, just a little bit more. And then hopefully we can just keep it growing and growing and growing. So then eventually I can just keep doing this for you all the time. So until next time, just remember to hook them in the face, and we'll catch you later.